This story begins with Fong, who is sitting in his car listening to the news. Suddenly, he hears a report that an unidentified object has been seen moving through Earth's atmosphere, which could possibly be a UFO. Fong's doctor and friend calls him and warns that it's going to rain today, advising him to be careful. While Fong is talking on the phone, he gets distracted and ends up in a serious car accident, suffering major injuries. Just then, a girl named Shachi approaches him. She isn't wearing any clothes. She's actually an alien who had just descended from the UFO. She wraps herself in a sheet, walks up to Fong, touches him, and thinks to herself how handsome he is. She then shakes her head and uses her powers to heal him. Afterward, she notices that Fong's car is about to explode. To protect him, she places herself between him and the vehicle. When the car explodes, the impact hits Shachi and blue blood starts flowing from her mouth. Overwhelmed by the pressure, she falls into a nearby river. But just before she falls, a drop of her blood lands on Fong's hand, and a glowing object from her locket also drops onto his body. In the next scene, we see Fong waking up in his home. A doctor comes in and tells him, "You were in an accident, but you're completely fine now." Then we see Xiai, who asks the man, "Is this the Northern Hemisphere?" But the man gets scared seeing her in that condition and runs away. Xiai sits there thinking, "What should I do now?" Suddenly, she hears a voice. It's a turtle. Actually, it's her secretary, Kubri. Kubri asks Xiaoi, "Do you remember the face of the person you saved?" Xiaoi replies, "I don't remember his face very clearly." Hearing this, Kubri tells her to find that man. Next, we see Fong getting ready and going to his company. There's a huge crowd there because all his ex-girlfriends have shown up with reports. Without saying a word, Fong goes straight into his cabin and sits down. He calls each girl in one by one. When they come in, he makes them such offers that they can't refuse and they agree to leave him. After that, all the girls leave happily. Just then, John shows Fong a drop of blood that has now turned into a stone. Seeing it, Fong sends it to the forensics department for research. Meanwhile, we see Xiai entering a clothing store. Using her powers, she starts trying on dresses. She finally picks out a bridal gown and puts it on. Just then, the store guard starts chasing her. She runs out into the street. Frightened by the loud traffic, she sits down in the middle of the road. A car is just about to hit her, but at the last second, she uses her powers to stop everything. And it turns out the car that was about to hit her belongs to Fong. Everyone freezes in that moment, but Fong remains completely calm. He looks at Xioi, and the moment she walks away, everything returns to normal. However, Fong is still in shock, wondering what is happening to him. Now, we see him talking to a doctor, and from their conversation, we learn that Fong's mother died during the rain, which caused him deep trauma. Because of this, he forgets all the girls he meets the day after it rains. This condition is called Majira. The doctor gives him medication for it. The story mainly revolves around Xiaoi. One night, she goes to a restaurant, drinks alcohol, and ends up heavily intoxicated. While there, she spots a guy and feels like he's the same person she saved the other night. Suddenly, the guy runs off to the restroom, and we find out that he's Ollie, Fong's stepbrother. Fong had asked Ollie to paint something for an art show, but Ollie came here to have a little fun. During this time, John shows up and quickly takes Ollie away after seeing him there. Next, we see Xiaoqi again completely drunk. When she tries to leave the restaurant, the manager stops her and asks her to pay the bill around 5 million. But because she's intoxicated, she behaves oddly and ends up fainting. The next day, we see that Miss Chai has brought Xiaoi to her home. Based on Xiaoi's clothes, Makai assumes she's from a wealthy family. She wants Xiaoi to pay the restaurant bill, but Xiaoi just says thank you and tries to leave without paying. Seeing this, Makai starts crying. This makes Xiaoi stop and say that she's willing to do anything to pay off the debt. Hearing this, Miss Chai calms down. In the next scene, Miss Chai gives Xiaoi a delivery job at her restaurant. While Xiaoi is out making deliveries, a passing car scares her, and she's unable to cross the street. She suddenly vanishes using her powers. Fong, who happens to be nearby, sees this and is shocked, but he assumes it's just his imagination. Then we see Xiaoi making a delivery to Ali. He invites her into his room and tells her that his brother has locked him up here, and only she can help him escape. Xiaoqi is very impressed by Ali as he's extremely handsome, so she decides to help him. After Ali leaves, Fong arrives and finds Xiaoi in his place. Xiaoi somehow manages to escape, but Fong finds her restaurant's business card and orders his people to find her. When Xiaoi arrives at the restaurant, she finds the clothes that Ollie had left behind for Miss Chai. Along with them, Ali had also left a card with a message asking Xiaoi to meet him at the restaurant. Seeing this, Xiaoi becomes very happy. Later that night, after finishing her delivery work, Xiaoi returns to the restaurant only to find it completely empty. But as she walks inside, she sees Fong sitting there. Fong tells her that he's booked the entire restaurant. Hearing this, Xiaoi tries to run away, but Miss Chai stops her at the door and tells her that such a big businessman made a special request just for her. So Xiaoi needs to go to Fong and find out what he wants. Xiaoqi approaches Fong and he asks her to cook a meal for him. At first, she refuses, but Fong then asks her to make something they can both eat together. When Xiaoi goes to cook, she struggles and accidentally starts a fire. Fong quickly puts out the fire using his shirt. After this incident, Xiai hears Fong's heartbeat and realizes that he's the same guy she saved that night. This draws her closer to him emotionally. Xiaoi becomes so attracted to Fong that when he asks her about Ali, she gives him the information. She tells Fong that Ali is in this restaurant. After that, Xiaowei goes to meet Ollie and tells him, "You need to get out of here. Fong has found out where you are." But Ollie replies, "Don't worry so much." and then sits down with Xiaowei to have dinner. They're talking when suddenly Fong shows up and starts taking Ollie away. Xiaowei grabs Fong's legs and tries to stop him, but Fong doesn't stop and pushes her away. Xiaowei pleads, "Take me with Ollie too," but Fong refuses. Then Ollie also grabs Fong's legs, and eventually Fong takes both of them with him. Fong brings them to his house and tells Xiaowei she can stay in the guest room. Ollie shows Xiaoqi where the guest room is. After a while, Xiaowei starts looking for the announcement device, but she can't find it. Just then, Fong walks in, and Xiaowei gets scared and runs off. Fong goes to his room, looks at a photo of his mother, gets emotional, and eventually falls asleep. Suddenly, Xiaowei sneaks back in and resumes searching for the announcement device. She enters Fong's room, but Fong wakes up and tells her to leave. Xiaowei tries to use her powers, but because Fong is nearby, they don't work. Fong asks her, "What are you doing?" and calls the security to remove her from the room. The guards come grab Xiaowei and start taking her out. But after Fong leaves, Xiaowei tricks the guards and disappears from there. The next morning, Ollie asks Fong where Xiaowei is. Fong tells him she has already left. Ollie goes to see her, but Xiaowei really isn't there. Ollie then asks Fong, "Did you send Xiaowei away last night?" Fong replies, "Stay away from girls like her and focus on your work." In the next scene, we see Ollie's mother, who is Fong's stepmother, meeting with her brother to come up with a plan to convince Ollie to quit painting and work at the company instead. Since Fong is running the whole company, they want to stop him from becoming the chairman. In the following scene, Miss Zhang returns. After that, Xiaowei comes to Fong's office and uses her power to stop everything. Then she gets into the elevator in front of Fong. Fong is shocked to see her, but after she leaves, everything goes back to normal. Fong then asks his assistant if she's seen any delivery girl, but the assistant denies it. Fong thinks it must have been just his imagination. Shuqi goes into Fong's cabin to look for her announcement device. Just then, Fong arrives and Shuqi quickly hides. However, Fong realizes that she's there and soon finds out that Shuqi was the one who saved him from the car accident. Later, we see Miss Zhang come to meet Fong because their parents had arranged a blind date for the two of them, but Fong refuses to meet her. Angered by this, Miss Zhang smashes the window of Fong's car and then confronts him. Fong clearly tells her that he has no interest in a blind date. Meanwhile, we see that Ollie finishes his painting and feels very happy. Just then, he receives a message from his ex-girlfriend saying that she's back. Reading the message makes Ollie furious, and in a fit of anger, he ruins his painting. After this, we see Fong and his stepmother having a conversation. It becomes clear that they don't really like each other. Then, Ollie comes to meet Shay. The two of them sit and talk, but Ollie can't control his emotions and ends up drinking way too much. He eventually passes out and grabs Shachi's hand. Suddenly, Shachi starts feeling cold because she's actually an alien, and touching a human makes her uncomfortable. She panics, runs into another room, and falls ill. Just then, Fong arrives and sees Ollie unconscious. He tells someone to take Ollie home. Fong then goes to Shachi and after seeing her sick, suggests taking her to the hospital, but Shachi refuses, saying she wants to stay with Fong because being around him makes her feel better. At that moment, Miss Chai arrives and sees the two of them together. She assumes they're having an affair and secretly takes a photo of him. A little while later, Shachi and Fong wake up. Fong asks her why she felt so cold the previous night. Shachi explains it was because of the fridge. Then Fong advises her to stay away from Ollie. After that, he leaves. This is where the episode comes to an end, and to watch the next episode, make sure to subscribe to the channel and do not forget to press the bell icon.